Morning one and all. Time for a shave test. This time from what I was honing yesterday, which was this beautiful pair of matched razors, which belong, unfortunately, not to me. They belong to a good friend of mine. And he said, can you remove the rust? Can you restore them? Can you hone them? And I'm now going to shave with them. But also, he did mention a couple of things which I think are relevant to this channel, Martin's Shave Tests, which are, why don't I show more stropping? The reason is, it's quite a complicated business. For the beginners, I'm still experimenting. Let me show you. For instance, this, which is going to be one of my testers for today, I restored the same time as the pair. And this is a very nice German Fram, and I didn't put quite as much work on the stones as I should, so it didn't hanging hair test that well. So of course what I did was I reverted to having to put quite a few laps on this green crox, that's the chromium oxide coated strop. Plain on the back, chromium oxide on the front, which you apply with a little green crayon. I'm only mentioning this to give you an example of why stropping taken to its 9th or 10th degree is complicated, only in as much as this wasn't hanging hair tested that well. Okay, on the nose, not very good in the middle. So my negligence in using a 3K stone to bevel set, because this was in very nice condition, and I assumed, you shouldn't make assumptions in life, I assumed that I could get away with 3K. Well, if I'd done it longer, I'm sure I could have. But anyway, I think my fault, it didn't hanging hair test that well. It's gone through the same progression as synthetic stones, but I thought, just as an example, I thought I'd show you what I normally get up to a little bit with the stropping side of things. So that I then decided to put on my Kaneyama canvas strop, which I beat the living crap out of when I first got it because it was so hard. I went all Goodfellas on it. I beat the crap out of it for about 5 hours. I softened it with a fabric softener as well. So now, if anything, it's probably a little bit too soft, which is why I have now reverted to using the backside of this beautiful Kaneyama. Now this has a nice buff leather to it. Now buff leather, I reckon, is probably equivalent to or better than canvas. So I went from buff leather then on this one to obviously the fine Kaneyama, and that's cured it. But what I was trying to show, but I just dropped it on the floor, was perhaps for some people you might be better off with a coarse canvas, which is why it's a complicated business. Now this is a beautiful hand-finished Illinois razor strop company from Chicago. This is the 361. That this isn't horse leather, this is actual cow leather. It's bull hide. It's much more coarse. And the canvas is, they say, fine weave, linen finish. I opened this one because this is about 10, 15 years old. I got it in a sale in America as new old stock. I haven't dared really use it because it is mint and new. But this is a much more coarse canvas. So I'm assuming if you want to get a quick, harsh strop, you might be better off with a coarse canvas. As I tend to use rather refined razors, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, let me hang this one back up, and I'll just prattle on a bit more and I'll leave you in peace. Right, so this one was a slight problem, so I went to the crox. It's now perfect. But one could argue that it wasn't initially bevel set properly. So that's another story. Anyway, let me show you the problem child. This little piece of crap is the TI I had such trouble with. I cut it right back because it was warped. It would seem, thanks so much Boar Belly and all the others for informing me that that seems to be quite normal with TIs. The steel quality is superb. This is a very hard steel. I know my steels. That's about all I do know. This has actually come out extremely well. So this one, because I took it to 20K, very, 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 very fine stone. This one was actually hanging hair tested straight off the stone. Particularly the nose was actually hanging hair test, splitting hairs straight from the stone. Anyway, I've still given it the usual progression on the strops, and it is now a laser. So this one I'm going to test in a moment. Here's the two little beauties, which Jay, also known as John, which John very kindly allowed me to restore. These, as I suspected, had a mint edge. These were absolute perfection. They just had a little bit, tiny bit of corrosion. So these came up very well. And these have been taken from 3K all the way down 3K, 5K, 8K, 10K, 12K, finally to 20K. Again, stropping wise, I used canvas on one, leather on the other, but they both HHT'd fine. So these should be an identical shave. So let's get started. First of all, let's put on the very famous, and for good reason, Jacques Poor Man's Preshave. But I'm going to use a posh Eric's soap. This, by the way, is a La Vache, the cow. And I was just watching Greg's wonderful shave video just now. And I have to say, he is a very analytical man, hence his background. And for me, I'm more of a hands-on person. For anybody that's interested, I spent most of my life working with weapons. And unfortunately, antique, by the way, antique. I'm an antique restorer. I'm an antique, military antique weapon restorer. And now semi-retired, thank God. Having to deal with the strange complexities of human nature. I never was very good at dealing. Anyway, enough of that. There we go. So that's an initial pre-shave. It's got a very mild aroma. I do love Eric's soaps. They're not over the top. They're just subtle. They're just right. And I'm going to use, as usual, a synthetic brush. Because I like synthetic brushes. I don't like putting dead dogs on my face. So, here we go. Bowl lathering. Not. Straight from the tub. I can't be asked with the finesse of bowl lathering and all the other wonderful things that people get up to. I am a simple artisan. I should be mentioning so many other people. I'm very rude. I do beg your pardon, chaps. I mean, the master of the stones, of course, over back in America, and so many others. I mean, do forgive me, chaps. You know, I'm very poor in the mornings at remembering anything. Anyway, Greg, you did a wonderful job. I caught yours. Long haul tanker. Yay! He's always on the road. And he has a wonderful selection of razors. I do love his choice of modern masterpieces, as in new old stock. Anyway, obviously I mentioned Jacques. Gary, my good friend Gary up in Nottingham. He's been doing straight razor shaving off, I think, virtually as long as anybody, and he's a great master. Anyway, do you know what? This is a really nice lather, and I'm no expert. So I'm going to go straight now to dry my fingers. Don't want wet fingers. No, 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 no. Let's start with the little French beast, because this one, this TI, my favourite scales, faux tortoiseshell, and that is a superb work of art, even though they can't grind razors properly because they use bent steel. But never mind, the steel quality with TI, very high. Let's just prove it. Yeah, that's on pretty old stiff stubble. Yeah, that's cured it. Yeah, that's lovely. You can hear by that stroke it's good. Let's go on briefly to the Fram. This is a beautiful choice. It's about a 6/8. It's about a 6/8. This is a classic period, I would say 1950s, German Fram. And it's got ground in Germany on the other side. Let's just try a little tiny stroke or two with this. This is going with the grain. Yeah. Not as good. No. The Fram isn't as good as the TI. Isn't that interesting? But let's try the masterpieces. Now, these are two slightly different blade shapes. They came in their beautiful little case. They're obviously by the same company. They are the Gold EKS. Chrome Gold EKS. This one is the round nose and that one's the French nose. There's a very slight more weight to this one, but it's almost imperceptible. So let's try with the round nose. These are John's. Ha ha! Lucky John, he picked those up in Switzerland. Oh my God. Oh, no effort at all. These are superb. Yeah, these were new old stock. Somebody had got them as a gift, I suspect. They probably put them in their case and left them in somewhere that might have been very slightly damp. And obviously they started to get a couple of little rust spots, but they're gone now. The difference is remarkable with a good edge. There's no effort at all. This is just slicing through the stubble. Yeah, that's how you test. Over 2 or 3 days, in my case, I think 2 days, of my usual pretty heavy old grey stubble. Oh, Rolls Royce. Which brings me on to my point about straight razor shaving for those who are just tempted to start straight razor shaving. One of the reasons for straight razor shaving, not only do you find that you get the superior, very superior shave, but we can't all afford to buy a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini. You can with straight razors. These are Lamborghinis. These are Rolls Royces. These were made probably post-war. Where exactly? Post-war, obviously Solingen, but these are absolutely superb. In fact, this one, I'm going to go against the grain, just a tiny bit of lather. Eric's wonderful lather, dampen the brush. Yep, another reason for using synthetic brushes is, by goodness me, they don't half lather up easily. Look at that. Easy as that. Anyway, let's try this French-nosed, tiny little Solingen, Germany, EKS Gold. Oh, Ferrari, Lamborghini, eat your hearts out. This is shaving as good as it looks. I did an identical hone on both of them, so yeah, the result should be the same, but you can never tell. The higher the grade of razor, I suspect, the more accurate they made them. There's nothing there at all now. Against the grain again on this side. Yep, pure luxury. I'm very privileged. Thank you, John, for gifting me the opportunity, not the right, gifting me the opportunity to try these. I'm going to go and do the same pass, but with the rounded nose. Yeah, no surprises, nothing between them. If anything, this one is very slightly sharper. Sharpness is a relative term. You don't want ultra sharp because it's too easy to abrade the skin. Oh my God, that's lovely. Yeah. So John, you're going to get a pair of superb razors. And I would say these could give quite a few shaves without ever having to retouch them in any way. In fact, I wouldn't even strop them. They're that good. Get quite a few shaves off a good razor without stropping. Although, technically, I think you're meant to. But as Greg proved, you can go a whole month without. Anyway, let me do one final little pass before I leave you in peace. I do the final pass with the horrible little TI, which has now been turned into a wonderful little TI. As you can see, I'm fairly cowboyish on the application of lather, because to me brushes and soap are just an ancillary part of shaving. The main part of shaving is the edge. Anyway, let's try this very, very pretty, now totally honed and rejuvenated. Do you know, I'd say this is as good as a German pair. Yeah. This is one of the very few razors where straight from a 20k stone it will hanging hair test. The others didn't. So, look at that. Little beast is now a little angel. I'd honestly say it was worth the effort. That is a beautiful shaver. When you go to a very stubborn area of stubble, which usually is under the chin, if you can almost effortlessly remove the stubble, thus, without any pressure, you've got a very good edge. As for comfort, again, that's a good test. With a good edge, the comfort level goes up and up. Yeah. One exonerated little razor. So it's gone from my most hated to my favourite razor just by taking out all the horrible warps. I don't want to start any controversy about that, chaps, but it really was quite warped. And they'd sent it out from the factory in a state that couldn't be shaved with. So that's a very good way of demolishing your business, I would have said. But then what do I know? Oh, I could do this all day. Effortless little picking tiny areas out to trim. So that's it, chaps. I would honestly say, apart from a failing memory, I wanted to call out so many more people. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. That's wonderful. So there you go. That's a 4 razor shave. The problem one this time was the Fram. The Fram, my fault, I didn't put enough work in. I shouldn't have gone 3k. I should have gone 1k, 3k through the synthetics. Just for the sake of being lazy, which I am. But that is blissful. It's not quite BBS. It's BBS in places. It's not in others. I couldn't be bothered. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry, this is a 20-minute video, but I hope you might find this interesting. If you do, I'd be very grateful if you give it a like. We're trying to progress people into the world of straight razor shaving, and the more likes we get on our channels, the better. So give it a like if you found it interesting, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.